Shay Bailiff, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Man, it's going. So, first off, man, we just met. We've known each other in circles for a while, but we just met a few weeks ago, and we were talking at this get-together, and you started trying to tell me a story, and I was like, okay, hold on. You need to come on my podcast because this shit's about to get interesting.
Yeah.
So I have no idea the context of where this is going to go today or what we're going to talk about, but
that's right. You stopped me.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, let's get going, dude. Let's jump right into it. So, from what I know, you've been a musician, and you're also now a family man and a business owner. But you started right out of high school, and probably before then. So let's just jump into it. What you got?
Yeah, I started playing music at age 15.
Okay.
My older brother had a guitar, and he played "Dust in the Wind" by Kansas in front of me, and
that's an interesting song to catch you.
Yeah, and I was like, man, if I can play like that, I'll be excited. So I picked it up, and it was not nearly as fun as I thought it was going to be, but I was just determined to be able to play that song, you know. So we grew up in youth groups at church, and to make a long story short, on this side of the story, I had one of my mom's friends. She knew that I wanted to play, and she pressured me one night because the youth band, they were unable to perform out there at our little church in Stonewall. And so they were like, you need to be the one to do it. So reluctantly, I got up on stage, and it was terrible. And for about 3 to 6 months after that, it was terrible every week until finally kind of get in the groove with it. So, but yeah, that's kind of the beginning stages of it. And I have a twin brother, Grayson, and he was been my drummer since the beginning on that. And so we started playing in church. We ended up going to Evangel. We grew up going to Evangel, went to North DeSoto, then went back to Evangel. And my senior year was whenever we went back. Well, in our class was, I don't know if you know Forever Jones.
No.
The gospel group.
Oh.
So in our class was Dominique Jones.
Okay.
And if you look her up, she's a Christian artist. She goes by Doe, D-O-E. And so she was like leading the music there. So it was my brother, me, her, and a few other people doing music. Well, there were also, because Evangels, I don't know if they are anymore, but they used to have exchange students, like 30 students a year.
Damn, okay.
Or something, so most of them were from Korea for the longest time. And then, like, growing up, playing, like, all my favorite video games, Street Fighter and all that stuff, I just kind of got, like, intrigued by, the Asian culture and things like that. So I think most of the stuff was Japanese, but
right.
But the Korean culture to me seemed like the most southern westerner version of Asia, was my opinion on it.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that was kind of my connection, or I guess the draw for me. And so I became really good friends with a few guys, and they became like my best friends that year, and I ended up like, man, I want to study and learn how to speak Korean. Like, I'm intrigued, I'm curious, and so I started like studying a few words a night and then going to school the next day and saying it in front of them. And so finally they're like, man, you can pronounce it pretty good, So after I graduated, the same friends were like, man, because they had seen me sing every week. They're like, if you put a cover song in the Korean language online, like it'd do really well.
What year is this?
Thought. This was 2007.
Okay, so I mean, we're still like early stages YouTube. Like, yeah, okay,
yeah, because I think YouTube came out. Was it like 2003 maybe?
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's somewhere around there, because YouTube and then your Facebook's right behind it a few years. So it's like right in that same era. It's like when everything starts really shifting.
Yeah, Yeah.
So you're right on
you're in
the peak of that. Yeah, you're in the peak of that.
I remember making a channel and it being like, there's no like hit videos.
Right.
You don't log in and see all the stuff.
No.
It's just kind of like, oh, what is this person's, and there's no high quality stuff.
It's like 340 or 720 or whatever.
Yeah, right. Everybody's using laptop audio.
There's no HD anything. Yeah.
So we But yeah, so at age 18, I made a channel, and then at age 19, I took their advice and like studied the hell out of this Korean song because I wanted to do it. Now my pronunciation, to me, it seemed good at the time because I'd studied it like just like the singer pronounced and memorized each word. Because when I do any kind of cover song or write any music, I never like to have music in front of me. I always like to study it and just memorize it so I can just go up there and just give all the energy I need to. You know,
to put this in context, so you're studying a song to cover in Korean.
Yeah.
Like, so you're studying a Korean song and you're going to cover it in Korean.
That's right.
But with your style.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so we know. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it's the American butchered version.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I was studying because I learned to read and write it, which to me, Korean's easier to read than like Chinese or Japanese because there's only like 30 symbols and you learn how to bundle them together. So I studied that. I, memorized it. Put it online, and then like 4 hours later, I think it had 20,000 views.
Holy shit.
And I was like, wow, And that was on YouTube, and then there's other Korean video websites like Daum, it's Daum, and Naver. And so on those websites, they were getting like hundreds of thousands of views,
And this is in South Korea.
In South Korea, yeah. And I was like, dude, no, this is crazy, So that was my first... It spoiled me to death because that was my first experience, first video I'd ever uploaded. Now, obviously, before that, we had been playing music 5 nights a week for, 5 years, and so it's not like it was just the first music performance I'd ever done, But so it got attention overseas, and I had 4 guys who were involved in the music industry somehow. I had 4 guys reach out to me. And 2 of them worked for 2 big record labels and production companies. And then the other 2 were more like indie, kind of small, So I went with a small, because I was young and wanted to have a little bit of freedom, But so I ended up going over there, made the jump. We released a song in Korean because by then I'd had Pro Tools, and we had like, a 003 interface rack, and so I could like record video and he could edit it and like upload videos. So we were able to record a song. Like I just sent him, they sent me all the music recorded in the studio. I'd record at my house and then send it and they'd mix it, So we released a song. It was called Odyssey in English and Hanghae in Korean, which means sailing.
Okay.
And so it wasn't like we just hit it just so big immediately, but we just had a good momentum going with the cover songs that we were doing. And so I went over there and had some stuff set up, and then he had like a band arranged, some guys my age, to go there and rehearse and practice. And it's weird, I was kind of hadn't thought about this stuff in a long time, so I'm reliving it.
What year is this? This is 08?
This was 08.
08? Okay, mm-hmm. And so now you're literally, so you record, so you talk to some of your foreign exchange students, they get you talked into doing this cover. You do this cover, it blows up, and the next thing you know, a year later, you're going to South Korea to do a tour of this. Okay, that's crazy.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. And it sounds like such a lie, too.
No.
I tell people, I just Google it. I promise
when you started
it's on there.
talking about it the other night when I met you, I was like, holy shit, no, don't tell me anymore because I want to hear this shit all in real time. Right. So, okay. And
it does. There's so many details to it, so I'm like reliving it because I hadn't told it in a while, so I'm kind of having like flashbacks. But yeah, so I went there, and he had the studio set up in Yeonshine, which is like a city near Seoul, or it's within Seoul. And so we just rehearsed, practiced. He wrote the music, obviously, because if I wrote music in Korean, it'd sound like a 5-year-old wrote the lyrics. So he was basically producing, me into kind of molding me into, a professional in a way. And now I write my own music, but, my style didn't fit. I pitched him some of my stuff. Of course, I was younger too, but so we ended up doing that. We played the Rolling Hall in Seoul, and my first show was with a band called No Brain, and they were like a Korean, like pretty popular punk band. And so I remember going there and just being terrified. And we had done, I mean, I played in front of people for so long, and sometimes we played in churches mostly.
Right.
So I wasn't used to like the rock scene, but we played in front of thousands before.
Yeah.
But this was different because the Korean fans are not like American fans.
What's the difference?
They are like, you don't have to tell anybody to come forward, right? Like, Koreans study, if they could, they have to study 40 hours a day.
Okay.
Even the young 8-year-olds, they all have to learn at least 1 to 2 foreign languages. And then they have to go to school after school until 9 p.m.
Damn.
6 days a week.
Damn.
So if they're out at a show,
it's the time of their life. Yeah. It's like Rumspringa.
They don't care if they know you or not. And so they come up, I feel this energy. And of course, I'd had some people who knew me from the internet, too. And so it was intimidating.
Yeah.
So I had to get used to that. And so after the first show, I was like, man, this is awesome. It's like I'm doing something where people they're digging it, And so we kept doing that. We were recording, getting more momentum. And then SBS Korea contacted my manager, and which they're like a big TV network company.
Okay.
And so that producer contacted us. They wanted to get us on a show, kind of told my story like on the news or cable news. And so that kind of got us out there a little more. And then we had the producers of a show called Star King. They reached out to me, and I got on the show with, at the time, there were a lot of the pop singers that were real popular at the time. Right now, I think BTS rules the world.
Yeah.
But these are guys that I don't know if anybody would know now, But a Super Junior and some of these people were on there. But so we got on there, and then
so it's like a Korean like Star Search, basically.
It's sort of
okay.
It's kind of like the guy that is the host is kind of like a Steve Harvey version. Of,
Got you.
So it's not a game show,
right?
But you get random talents on there, and they just show what they do.
Okay.
And nobody wins or anything like that.
Got you. Okay.
And then they have like celebrity panel on the side, and they're getting their screen time and saying their one-liners and all that. It's really weird. So we did that, and then like MTV Korea reached out to us. So
I didn't realize MTV had. Okay, cool.
Yeah, which is not. It wasn't as big as it was in America.
Right.
So it's kind of strange. But so we were doing video shoots, music, live performances.
Is this all within that same year?
I think so. Okay. I can't remember. It's so blurry.
Well, so tell me this before we go any further. Like, so what was the culture shock from you being from Southern United States, Bible Belt, to going into an entire different country? I mean, an entire different continent, and then like a whole different civilization and the culture. Like, how's that work?
Golly, that's it. Going there, like, you don't feel like you're in a different country. You feel like you're on a different planet. Yeah, completely. Like, you can't believe they share the same world as America does. So that's how different it was. And of course, to kind of give you a good word picture, like after coming back to the States from Korea, I did a show in Manhattan or in Syracuse and went to Manhattan afterwards. It made Manhattan seem laid back. Yeah. Just the high population.
Well, so
you can go anywhere you want,
What's the layout like? So like, there's all of course, all the press in North Korea, and then what's going on in South Korea. Like, so how is like the I guess the everyday, like regular blue collar, what does that look like layout in that area?
Well, it is, as far as like the visual image, you see Tokyo, right, and it's just cram packed, right. And as far as day to day living, they get up 6 a.m. and there's a lot of guys that work for corporations and things like that. A lot of people don't go to work. From what I was observing, they don't get into a serious line of work until like almost 30. And you just see these Koreans, they work, 14, 16 hours a day, and then every single night they're all trashed in the city. They're all just getting, they do all the businesses, like if you work in a company, afterwards you all eat together.
Okay,
right?
and then drink.
And drink
so
together.
what do you drink? I mean, you like
so soju is like a diluted version of tequila. I guess.
Damn, why didn't you bring some of that, bro?
I should have. Yeah, there's some around here.
Shit. We got to find that. We got to find that.
And you shoot it, but it's not like it doesn't get you like a shot of tequila would.
Okay,
and it's smooth.
Okay,
but yeah, that's kind of everybody works. They work their ass off, and then it's crazy. Traffic's crazy. Subway, everybody's running into each other, and nobody says anything to each other, and afterwards.
It's like it's just different dynamic as far as people
totally
interacting
different.
with each other. Everyone's in their own lane and they stay in their own lane.
Everybody, you don't
like.
talk to strangers.
That's weird.
But if they're drinking, then they do.
Everyone talks to you. Yeah, okay.
So that was the thing. Like culturally, was so frustrating because
you can't even have you can't have a day-to-day conversation until you're into the nightlife.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then by that time, you're like, people are drunk, so like you can't really have how do you have how does business how does that work with so you're going and talking to these. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess you have agents that are helping you with all that. So you were like, you just okay, yeah, yeah.
They were speaking, and of course, I learned Korean. Like, my second or third year there, I felt more comfortable speaking Korean. But at first, it takes a while.
Can you still speak it?
I can speak it, not as good,
right?
But yeah, I can.
But you'd be able to translate it if someone was here or something. And say, okay, yeah.
Like I couldn't talk to you in politics, but I could carry on a conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like hard to use around here,
Yeah, of course.
Well, but that was the thing. Like, so for example, these meetings, like when they introduced me to my band, like I'm real open and want to be chatty Cathy, and they introduce you, you bow, and you sit in a room, and nobody says anything, and then they wait till the task needs to be done, and then you kind of takes a while to warm up,
That's it's crazy. Well, it's crazy too because like you're saying they don't start getting serious into their career until in their 30s. Mm-hmm. But you're spending. I mean, they're spending 3 times, 4 times the amount of education that we are. Yeah, and we're starting in careers in our early 20s. It's just crazy to think about.
That's right. Yeah,
the talent pool is probably so huge, and there's so much competition for any type of job with any specialty. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Just to think about that to me is just like insane.
Well, you hit that right on the head because the talent pool, every musician could play with any national band in America here. It's like everybody who plays, they don't just play. Every guy that I met that played music, even go to the guitar shop or wherever, they could play with anybody. So these guys work really hard and. Like, I thought that I had good work ethic, and I went over there, and, like, everybody called me lazy. I was like, man. And so I learned, like, I'm glad the lessons that I learned over there. Yeah. As far as, like, all that stuff goes, and they would train me, like, you miss one note, you're barely off. And they're like, nope, stop the take. Like, we're retracking.
So it's got to be perfect, flawless.
Yeah.
It's like, so there's no art in mistakes.
Right.
At all. Like, whereas here, it's like, oh, hold on, we can turn that into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no art in mistake at all.
But that was kind of rough. Yeah, let's keep that. They want real crisp. But it's a different. That was the other thing. Was like going in a time machine. Like, you go there, you can walk around in any alley at 4 a.m, and nobody's going to mess with you. Everybody smokes. Indoors or outdoors, like culturally, I feel like they're 50 years behind us. Yeah. Like with respect, and so
in a good way.
In a good way,
right.
And so, but the music too, right? Like when I was there, 80s music was like that's what was it.
Nice.
That was some of the stuff that's popular over there it was popular here decades ago. So but they got their own twist to it as well. So. It threw me through a loop to figure out how I was going to fit stylistically because, like, doing a cover and getting attention because you're white, blonde hair, blue-eyed guy singing in Korean, that's one thing. Yeah. But then, like, figuring out what is your style that fits, that was the other.
So you're in, let's snap back. So you're in this, you're doing it, you're doing these shows. How long does this last, and what unfolds here? Like, what's significant that you remember more than anything, and like, how long do you hold on to it, and what all happens?
Yeah, well, I guess it was a period of like 2 to 3 years. as far as actually being over there.
Oh, so you were there that long?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! Okay, holy shit, dude. Like, so, like, what do your parents say? I mean, because you're like right. It seems like you come from like a close knit family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they say? Like, how does that work? Like, and that whole transition.
They trusted me that I like. Of course, I had friends over there from Evangel, and that was
okay. So they went over. They went back, and so you were hanging out with them.
I was with them. Like I stayed with Brian, one of my friends. I stayed with him and his dad. So they knew like I wasn't just like complete loner, But I also convinced them that I was older than I was too, right? And so.
Did you put your party pants on over there?
Not at all.
No, really?
Not at all.
What? That's insane.
That's the other thing.
What it sounds like, I was like, damn, man, I'm just thinking about how much I'd be partying.
Right. That's what you would think, you know? Like musician, I was young, but I didn't have...
Were you just so hyper-focused on...
So hyper-focused.
On doing, like, achieving your goal or whatever, you didn't want to get distracted? Because that happens, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, not at all. Like, I wanted to have fun as a break, because these guys have me... working, which I know is music, but you're working like 60 days with no day off, not even Sunday. You gotta, because there's so much to be done. So my version of partying was like going to karaoke, which is everywhere. Which is noraebang is what they call it in Korean. And but no, I didn't have my first sip of alcohol until I was 23.
That's insane, man.
And I came from, we were doing Christian music. We were like worship leaders. And so. And I'm a Christian still, but I was like really one of the most straight-laced dudes, so I like still felt that pressure to be like perfect, So being over there, like I just wanted to get as far as I could with it. It kind of came to a head in that like I was with a small record company. So the funds, it was all dependent on me, like how many shows I could do or TV shows, how much they were willing to pay. So management, in their defense, they're managing a new artist, but they didn't have like money to just throw my way. To push you, And so I had to rely. I only had an entertainment visa, so you couldn't legally do any other kind of work. And so I was doing this show out in Hongdae, which is the hub of like the music scene in Seoul. I did a live performance for a TV show, just solo. Went out in the street and we set up a speaker, and I was just singing in Korean. And like we had a crowd come in, and it was like a cool little scene. There was this older lady there, and I can't remember her name. She was probably in her like 50s at the time, and she somehow. And this was kind of like at the tail end of it when I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to continue to like feed myself. You know what I mean? Like I had lost like so much weight. I was probably 140 pounds. Right now I'm 185. That gives you an idea. And so I guess she had followed us, maybe kept up with me as far as the music. So after the crowd had left, she went over to me and she said, hey, I want to help you out. And my their management was beside me, and they're like, well, yeah, we'd love for you to help us. And she was like, I want to help Shay out. So she connected with me. She took me out to eat, and her husband were from Jeju Island, which is like way south on an island in South Korea. And so she like took me to dinner one night, and she was like, I know that you're not doing well. It was God, man. I mean, really, and she said, I want to help you out. My daughter wants to learn guitar. I'll pay you to teach her music. And so she paid me like way more than she should have every lesson. And that kept me, I don't know what I would have done, because I wasn't going to tell my parents either. Right. Because they would have been like, we got to get you out of there.
Get back.
So finally, it was, and we were doing well. It's like we were getting on TV shows. Like I ended up hosting a radio show and stuff like that. So like we were doing well, but the money's not there in the early stage of your career.
Right.
Even in
there's so much overhead. There's so much overhead. I mean, you got to think like and you're with a small agency that's not. That's right. They don't have the funds.
So I understood that. But I was trying to hustle, get it going, and it just seemed like. And these guys were. not that they were evil, but these guys were out for their best interest.
Yeah.
You know. And so finally I was like, man, I gotta.
Was their take like way more than yours? Like, I mean, what was that split like? Can you even talk about that? I mean,
so their take, no, I mean, we split. I think it was a 60-40. Like they got 40.
Okay.
You know, but it just wasn't enough. I was still doing a lot of the grunt work.
Yeah.
But they were too, you know. It's just these guys were only reliant, like they're entertainment guys. And they had been like in and out of the business. They were indie. And some of that's for a reason too, you know. But they were reliant on how I could bring money to the table.
Do you regret not going with a bigger
Sometimes I'm like, what would have happened? I wonder, you know?
Yeah.
And then me and my wife always talk about it. I'm like, if I had gone with a bigger label, we would have never met.
Yeah, everything would have changed. Yeah, I mean, it would have popped off, you know, and then so that happens, and you meet that lady, you start teaching her child guitar lessons.
Yeah.
And then you're still performing. And so where we go from there? What's going on?
Yeah, so then like we were doing more stuff for the MTV Korea. It was one of the biggest MTV events that they had me booked for. And I was just done. And I don't give up easily.
Yeah.
You know, but I was like scraping up change. I wasn't sure how I was going to, you know, like how I was going to make the subway trip. Like, you know, in the underground subway.
Yeah.
You know? And I told them, I finally met with management. And I said, guys, I'm done. You know, and I haven't said their name for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't, you know, they're freaking out. And I just told them, I was like, you guys have not, like, I don't know. And it's not your fault, but I'm going to starve. You know, like, what am I going to do? So they basically were like, we're going to convince you to stay. You know, we want you to stay. And I was just hell-bent. I had a friend over there, a group of friends. Most of my friends were Korean, but I made a really good friend with this guy from New York. And he was like, dude, just come stay with me and, like, figure out what you need to do. And so that night, I decided, I was like, I'm leaving.
Okay.
And so I went to my apartment to get my passport, and it was gone.
Oh, shit. So they already knew you were planning that shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to lie to the police and tell them that I went to a club and, like, lost my passport. Gave this sob story.
You got that street smart already, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like survive.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And so I went to the American Embassy. They gave me I was able to get another copy. And they told me at the American Embassy, they said, this stuff happens all the time.
So they're like trying to trap people in there and keep them there.
And not that South Korea is like one of the most, we're allies, great.
Right.
You know, they're like one of the best countries to go to.
Yeah.
But it's just foreigners in any country in the entertainment business. That's really what they were getting at. You know, like foreigners coming in, they deal with these entertainment agents, and some are good and some are bad. You know, as far as the country, South Korea, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but in entertainment, just like in America, you can get wrapped up with anybody.
Oh yeah, man.
But they told me, they're like, this happens all the time. We see guys coming to do music, and so I went over. Came back to America.
But hold on. So, like, what's your guidance on all this? So, like, how does that unfold? So you go back to your apartment. Okay. Yeah. First off, how do you know it's shady? That's what I want to know. So, like, we're not talking about the nuts and bolts of this shit. Yeah. Like, so what's the shady operation of all this shit? We're not mentioning names, so we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It just, well, first of all, like, and you see this a lot and we watch UFC.
Yeah.
All the fighting. You see this a lot with guys that get recruited.
Yeah.
They recruit you and then they want to change you completely.
Yeah.
And so that was my first frustration. I said, dude, my voice is raspy. Like, that's how I sing. Like, you want to make it real clean.
But first off, I made hits like this. This is what they like.
It got
so why would
attention.
you want to change it? Yeah.
And then, so that was one frustration. And then it was like they wanted to pick apart everything I was doing and then, like, never allow me much freedom to go out to be with friends. And my version of going out was mild. You know, I go out and, like, you know, I would prefer to go out once a week just to get my sanity, you know. But they're feeling the pressure.
So, like,
you know, but it all came on my back.
So you're not living with them, though?
No, so I live with friends of mine at first.
But at first.
Yeah, and then I ended up living with these guys.
Oh, so that's where shit got okay.
So it's constantly like just you doing this wrong, like you ain't walking, you don't walk right, you don't talk, like
they're
all
just
this
trying
stuff.
they're just trying to like manipulate you into something where they're okay. Here's our cash cow. Let's double down
completely
on this.
control you, like down to the way, like literally that I walk. So.
Well, how much did you buy into that? Did you like in the back of your mind you say, okay, I know this is bullshit, but I'm just going to play along, or were you like buying into it at first because you were young and naive? And
a little bit of both,
because I mean, like we're all like you go to somewhere it's completely a new culture, So like, how do I pay to play? Like, how do I figure out what line do I need to walk? What do I not need to do? Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like confusion.
Yeah,
I would say more so than anything because there were things that they say were true. Like for example, if you put your feet on a table, like that's rude. Elbows on the table, that's so rude. Don't put a knife in your steak and leave it on there, like just little stuff like that. Yeah. And then you have to use formal speech when speaking to Koreans. Those are all standard stuff. But then they would get like micromanage the way I was doing things. And they're like, no, that's rude. Like you don't want to. Well, I started getting around other older Korean guys and like, people who were grandparents and all that, and talking the same way that I did, trying to be respectful. And they were all like, "Oh my gosh, like come have a drink. Like don't talk to me in formal speech. Like talk to me." I was like, man, maybe I'm getting sold on it's harder than it should be, kind of thing. So it was a mixture of that, and then one night, like I can't tell you if this is a dream or not, but like. I got really sick over there, and this was during H1N1 too, so it could have been that, So this COVID right now, I feel like I'm reliving it because like everybody was wearing masks, and like I'd walk up I didn't wear a mask. I'd walk up to people and talk to them. They'd be freaked out, So it's like reliving it almost. So I got really sick, and then one night I woke up and my producer's like standing over me, like just looking at me. And it was like I couldn't tell if it was a dream or not, because they're so exhausted sometimes. And after that, I don't know. I was like, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
But it was a combination of years of the build up,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. So that lady helped me like get out of there.
And
like
she was Korean.
She was Korean.
Her husband was Korean.
Yeah. And
do you still have contact with her?
No, I haven't.
Have you like tried to look her up or reach out or anything?
I guess I could maybe find her from old emails, or something. I should, And she was older. I mean, she was probably could have been like was older than my mom, And I was like, man, I don't know what these people do. Well, come to find out, I think they do that. That's kind of their thing. Like her and her husband were well off, and then they help foreigners. Who are in trouble.
Oh, okay, really?
So
it's like okay, so it's like we would call it, like a little nonprofit here.
That's what it seemed to be, yeah. And so after that,
so that whole fiasco happened. You're going through all, because we left that all like a little dark there, man. Let's talk about all this shit. So like, so you have some psychological trauma early on in your music career. Like, I mean, it's not insane, but at the same time, it's like you have people trying to manipulate you early on, which happens to a lot of young artists. I mean, we see it all the time. So early on in your career, you hit, and you have all this psychological trauma and all this manipulation,
right?
And eventually, you get fed up.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, let's go back to we're at the embassy. And so like what led you to the street smarts of going there and like talking to this, like, so we're like, I guess, did you go through that whole process going there? So you knew that was where you needed to go and talk, like, how did that work?
Oh yeah. As far as like being sneaky like that?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I just like survival mode kicked in.
Okay.
And then of course I did have like I was getting some advice as well from some friends.
Okay.
Right on do this, do that, And then I was in contact with my parents. My mom was like, you need to get up this time. Here's when they open. Go this route. So she was doing some research as well. And but also I just knew that if the only way to get out of this was I have to lie and con my way out of here, because they're so like they had such a grasp, like knew where I was at all moments.
Do you feel like you were like? Do you feel like a sense of endangerment, like, or do you think it was just like it could have got that far? Do you think this was like early steps of these people were like shady and something could happen to me?
Yeah.
Was that early?
In a way.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think they would, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And then like the fact that my passport vanished.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, this is kind of different.
Yeah.
And my thing was, I told them, like, at least at the end of the conversation, I forgot about that detail when after I told them I was finished. I said, at least let me go to America for 6 months. And they're like, no. I was like, dude, I mean, that was in my contract that I could go if I wanted to.
You've been there how long?
I've been there. I mean, I had come to and from.
Okay,
but I was able to get my visa renewed in Tokyo, though, because it was an hour flight. So by that time, I hadn't been home in a while, because the first trip I came, tested it out, and then came back and renewed my visa in America. And the second trip was like I was there, for a while. So then I was like, I'll just go to Tokyo. I don't want to, I can just fly an hour, get it renewed, come back. And, but yeah, no, that was the thing. Like, so they had set up this big show. And then some of my friends, I'd started to become friends with some celebrities over there, some Korean celebrities, and they were like, man, they made me feel so normal. Like, dude, really? They feel so good about it, Wow,
because they were like hyper
they had gone through the same stuff.
Yeah.
And
they're like, oh, no, this is no big deal, man. You got to do all this. This is what you got to do.
Well, some of them were like, yeah, some of that's normal, and they're dicking you around. Yeah. And some of these people were pretty famous, and I was like, okay, well, like, what do I need to do? They're like, whatever you want to do. Yeah. I was like, dude, where you guys been?
Yeah.
And so, I ended up like kind of finding some normality, like a group of friends who were Korean. And I just realized like what normal was and what it wasn't. And then in my manager's defense, like because of the stuff that they taught me, like today I still use all that stuff with recording and technique, like how to do things the right way. So I wouldn't take it back.
Yeah.
All the stuff that I learned. It could have been easier.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the icing on the cake for me, like leaving was, and I wish I could give names, but one guy I talked to said, well, Goopity is, well, I just said the guy's name. There we go. He said, your manager, he wants you to stay.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he does. Well, he said, well, then he should have made sure you were happy.
Good point. I
was like, man. Yeah. All right, so now I felt good. I can leave.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you roll out. Yeah. That's it. Leave it all behind you.
I roll out. The way that I did it in style, man. I got up 3 a.m, snuck into the studio, like into his studio. Or no, how did I do that? No, I got all my stuff the night that he had scheduled a really big MTV annual TV show, like celebration, and we were going to be featured on it.
Yeah.
And he said, we got this, like, you can't leave, like, at least wait for this. And I was like, okay, I'll wait for this one. Waited for him to go to sleep, got all my stuff, as much as I could carry, snuck out of there, went to a buddy of mine's apartment, snuck to the embassy, got everything renewed, and snuck out of there, and made management look like complete asses.
Yeah, because you were featured on there, you didn't even show up.
But I was like, this is my chance.
Does that void your contract with them? Like,
well, they voided whenever they didn't allow me to go back to the States.
Okay, so they voided it. So what's music royalties like and all that? How does that happen? Like, is it like here? How does that play out?
I think it's similar.
So, how long did you continue to get money from any of this, or did you at all? Did they cut it off? They cut it off.
Yeah, but it wasn't much, anyways.
Right.
Like it was more so the brand of me being like white dude singing in Korean that was getting momentum.
Were you branded as you? Like that was?
Yeah, it was Shay.
Shay. Okay.
And so like I was getting momentum as a person, and the music was more so like it wasn't on the radio.
Right.
So it was like we were underground. Like if I would have stayed, I'm sure it would have been bigger. Right. But I just knew like.
But for the sake of your sanity and everything else.
Yeah, and then I write music, and I always had since I was 15, and it was killing me not to write music too. But the biggest reason was like, man, I'm not going to stay here, and so I came back immediately. hit up some friends of mine, obviously Grayson and Michael Brown and Jacob McGarry, who I went to school with. And I was like, I got a full album's worth of music. I want you guys to be in the band. Let's record and let's just hit it all the way. Because I was still in my 20s.
Yeah. And
so we started Shayliff.
And this is like, you're all in. This is the only thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. Working part-time jobs, And so we did this, recorded, writing music. We practiced like 4 times a week. Eventually we were playing like 4 shows a week for years and just kept making albums and getting a lot of momentum. And we started getting on some bills with some bands that I was like, man, that's freaking awesome. Like the first one was the Toadies.
Yeah.
Called us, and then it was like 303, Framing Hanley, The Fray, and a lot of bands. So we started getting like national acts, shows with nationals here and there, and then we would play out of town. We did a lot of traveling, and we'd come back to Shreveport and play a show, and everybody would be singing our lyrics, and I was like, this is way more fun for me,
right,
than being like on TV or whatever,
yeah.
And so we kept doing it, and we still do. We're older now, dads, and own businesses, and so I'm not touring, but I still got the disease of if I don't write a song, it's gonna eat me alive. So
what's it like from going to that whole thing to where you're a celebrity and you're hanging out with celebrities in South Korea to coming back here, and then you become a local celebrity, but like how does it do your fans there still listen to this new music here? How does that work? Or did it completely shift to where they didn't follow you? Like, how does that work?
No, they still kept up with it.
Okay.
Not like the diehards did.
Right.
They still followed it. And I still continued to do Korean covers. And I did like one with the band. And we put it online. And so we still... Well, I still wanted to do Korean music because I was like, dadgum, I studied this language for so long. Yeah. But I'm just more into playing, American music. Obviously, the style is just, that's what I want to do, Initially, my goal was to do exactly the way that I do music, like alternative rock and roll, exactly the way we do it, just singing in Korean.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, so how did that never happen?
That was my goal, and I just allowed it to... I should have been more like a punk and just been like,
I feel like you could have capitalized, like went over there and capitalized on that and just had your own thing. Because I didn't want to. I don't cut you off, but I was like, okay, you're doing these covers, but you have your own sound, and your alternative, and you have a very unique sound. Your band does. And it's like, if you would have implemented that, you know what I mean?
I know.
Hey man,
I think about it sometimes.
There's ifs and everything.
What if? Yeah. Never too late.
Mm-mm.
But the thing that cracks me up is getting back from Korea, like 2 or 3 years after coming back to the States. I used to go to Gangnam all the time, which is in Seoul.
Okay.
And like I'd hear the Korean music every day, and I always thought, and the Korean music's fine, it's fun, but I always was like, this stuff will never make it in America.
Yeah. And
then that song, Oppa Gangnam Style, just hit the charts over in the States.
Blew up. What year was that? Was that like 2012?
2010, 2012 maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. That thing blew up.
Isn't it weird? And so now you got BTS over here, and then you got the lead singer of Coldplay doing a Korean song.
Yeah,
I guess I was 13 years too early, I guess,
Dude, hey, man. I mean, still, though, would you ever go back?
They'd have to pay me a lot of money.
Have you been back?
I hadn't been back.
Okay.
No.
It's okay.
I was kind of nervous because I'm a foreigner.
Yeah.
And I left... in some people's minds, under contract.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They voided your contract. From what it sounds like, I mean, you were like saying, hey, I want to go home.
Right.
I will come back. Just let me go home for a little while and refresh. And they're like, no.
I feel it, but it's so different. Like, if you're not Korean, and it should be, as it should be. And that was one thing I respected about the country is, like, coming over there as a foreigner, I had to prove myself. I didn't just come over there and I was hot shot. I had to learn the language.
They made you earn your keep.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you're not going to come over here and just run around and get the red carpet laid out for you. You're going to earn your keep. Yeah. Like,
it's a thing to be admired.
That's a good thing, too, because you talk about all the work ethic there. So, I mean, they're like, okay, you're going to do something before we just, like, let the reins go here.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a weird scenario, but I mean, at the same time, man, you don't know what kind of underground Korean mafia shit you may be dealing with, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it sounds like.
That's right. I think all the loan officers are, in the mob somehow.
Yeah.
So that's the running joke over there, But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. But I appreciated that part of the culture of. I'd be around some guys, and a lot of people do want to learn English, so they're really friendly towards Americans. They're not like snobby, but you could tell like once I learned to speak Korean that I was in a whole different world after that.
Just
different respect.
So just accepted you more. Okay,
they could understand me more. Like if I did something that was rude, I was speaking Korean, they just didn't give a damn because they're like, "Man, that's funny. Yeah, we understand that you're."
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So it kind of opened up a door for that, but yeah, man, it's. Strange thing I did.
Well, no, I know we were talking about it when I first hung out with you the other night. I was like, dude, holy shit! Like, this is what's so unique, and the thing that like the biggest thing is like we all know people that have talents or good at things, but like when you take a whole nother culture on, like that early on in your career, and then you come back and make a whole nother shift, like it's just insane to me that you've been through all those strides, and now you're just playing for fun. Really, I mean, you're not. Are you seeking like what do y'all have coming up? Like, what are y'all doing? Do y'all have an album coming out? What's going on?
Yeah, we released an album right before COVID.
Okay,
and then during COVID, we recorded 2 songs, and we're about to record another one.
Okay,
so we're recording another album, and the way that we do it just takes 5 years. I don't like to rush songs, so we're always writing music and performing at like the shows that we want to do. And so I'm not like pursuing fame anymore. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it in the like on the wrong turn because it's like you've already seen all that. Now it's just like you're doing what you want to do.
We are, and we could, and obviously we still never like my version of achieving a musical career. We never did, right? Because my version of that is you can play music only and pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
So we never got to that point, which that would still be awesome. So that's
still a good living if you think about it.
Yeah. So I still have the bug, and in the back of our mind, if the right thing came across, of course we would sit down and talk it through and see what it is. But at the same time, I'm not like, if I didn't play music back then, I'd be unhappy. Now I'm happy, and I'm also happy that I can play.
Yeah.
And we push it as hard as we can. Like I said, we're still right. We still want to get like these big shows and still stay on top of our art, But it's just, I don't know. I guess it's just like the dad vibe took over or something.
So yeah, you're married, kids. So what age did you get back?
To the States?
Yeah.
I guess age 23.
And that's when you started drinking. Back here, I need a fucking drink, man.
Yes. Bottoms up, man.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. Yeah. The first album we did, we recorded sober, the Here We Are album.
Yeah.
And the second one, Why Don't You Like Me, we just indulged in booze the entire album. You can hear it. It's more angry.
Yeah.
So man, it's, then we connected with Jackie Brock and Josh Johnson whenever we got back.
Yeah.
They reached out and just wanted to see what we're doing. So Jackie got us plugged in on some of these national acts. The first one being with the Toadies, and then Dax Riggs, which not a lot of people know Dax Riggs.
Oh, wow.
And so he would give us some stuff, and it was like starting over coming back here because we played churches here for so long, and everybody knew who we were in the church realm. And then in the rock scene, we were young, and we looked like we were probably 15,
Yeah.
And so the sound guys were rude, and then they get nicer. Like, okay, I'll bring a crowd.
Were you playing like Warehouse and stuff like that?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, dude,
yeah.
That's For anyone who's listening or watching who's not local, like we're speaking all these local scenes here. Like Warehouse was the only place to play rock music, in the late 2000s. Basically, it's not existent anymore. There's really the venue. I mean, we have a new venue here where we're sitting at now, but like other than that, man, there's not a lot.
No,
and the rock scene's weird now. It's very weird. Like it had so much momentum. I feel like between the '60s and the like 2000s, like there was so much momentum and shift and change in the rock music, and now it's just like, man, no one's putting anything out that's you know what I mean, that's taking off, and no one's getting behind it. You know what I mean? Like that's not good music. It's no one's getting behind it.
Right. What happened? You know,
I don't know.
It's strange, and we felt that coming back because like if we were like Radiohead meets Kings of Leon, and that did not fit anywhere here, at first, but we got a crowd. You know, it took a while. It took like 4 years for people to understand. But I know it's like Bojack's they're doing the right thing. I feel like they're trying to recreate something. Oh yeah, man! This venue here, Hurricane Alley, is going to be amazing. I think what's going on is like, well, Shreveport Bossier, you know, this area of Louisiana used to be known for music. I mean, for the longest time, and it just fell to the wayside between, I guess, 2010 and 2020. I mean, it really did. Right. You know, so now it's like, okay, we got to get that back going again. It was weird. Like when we came back, Tragedy was doing their last show for a while. Yeah. And so that was kind of the time. And Strange Brew, Joel managed Strange Brew at the time, Kitterlin. Yeah. And so we played there, and he really was excited about it, and so he promoted us. And so that kind of became the spot. Was there? Well, yeah, that was like the last safe hold for that music for a while. You know, to think about it, because it's like, you know, Tragedy had. I guess you were gone and they were holding it down over here. Yeah, I guess you know what I mean. Like, because what was it? Soundstage was the thing for a while, right? Yeah, that was early, man. Yeah, that was further back. How old are you? How old am I? 34. Okay, so I'm 32. Yeah. About to be 33. But yeah, that was an interesting setup and venue there. Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. I've heard a lot of good things. I've never been there, you know. But yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, man. And I'm back to like, you know, being a Christian. Like I feel like I'm a Christian in a rock band. So not perfect, but I'm doing stuff that I like to do. Right. And so like if I want to write a song about Jesus, we have a song called No Ordinary Man. And it's funny, growing up we tried to write music that wasn't so obviously gospel oriented, and then we get in this rock band where we're drinking all the time, you know, and obviously I'm a little more straight-laced now, but we were partying so hard and I was like, I want to write a song about Jesus. Yeah. And so it went really well in the bars and clubs, you know. So we write a song about that or kind of whatever we want. And that's the beauty of this right now is everything in my brain I can get out, you know. So maybe if I would dumb it down, we get, you know, hey, no, get man, further. Look, dude, your art is your art. That's the thing about it. Like, especially when you're micromanaged at such an early age, like it's like, man, the fact that you come back and just, you know, let all that go and just be yourself. I mean, that's the winnings right there, you know. And I mean, then you create a family, you know, and have a successful business now, you know, like that's fun, man. All those things are like, and you still doing what you love. So I mean. I'm enjoying it. I don't see any downfall anywhere. Like, no, yeah. Like the best thing to do is sneak out of there, bro. You know, like, the joke I make, like, guys, if we wrote songs of 4 chords, we'd probably make it. But yeah, no. Then we got this band, Goodbye June. They play. That's how I met Leighton Allen. He was managing the Brass Monkey for a little while. Yeah, I remember when he had that place. We used to go up there. Yeah. He got some good music over there. Yeah, he did. I mean, but there's no support here. I mean, I've known Jackie for a long time, and I remember Jackie hit me up, and I think Leighton had the bar, and then after that, Ryan and them were running the bar, or whatever, and Jackie was like, "You think so and so would do good here?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" He's like, "Should I get them?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" But I'm thinking like, I'm saying I'll enjoy it. That's but is anyone going to show up? Probably not. This area does not support. It's so crazy. Like I went and saw Gary Clark Jr. like 3 months ago. Oh yeah. Anywhere else in the United States, you could not get a ticket. Right. You would not be able to get in that venue. This venue we were at the Municipal. On top of that, like someone like him who's an amazing artist shows up to this area that's historically, you know, so famous for Elvis and everyone else who's played there, Hayride and everything. You would think it would be sold out and busting at the seams, man. It was half full. I'm like, really? And I told my wife whenever we got tickets, I was like, we don't need to get in a hurry to get tickets because it's not going to sell out because they don't understand. Like, it's like I don't understand. There's not a pool of people here that like real music. Yeah, and I'm not dogging on country and western and all that. Like, and all that. But like, there's not a good blues scene here. There's not a good rock scene here. There's not, you know, there's just I don't know what it is about it, man. But it's discouraging sometimes. So I can see, you know, where all that falls into place. And it's like
in your genre, it's like that right now. You know?
Yeah.
But it's revitalizing. So I feel it. I feel it, man.
We're just stubborn. We're just not going to change the genre.
Yeah.
But I can't believe that about Gary Clark. I didn't know
Dude,
that.
no. I was, yeah. Leighton was there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Golly, and he's like...
He's phenomenal.
He's still crushing it.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
I know Jack White typically does well here.
Yeah.
You know,
he does
comes
good.
around.
Yeah, he does good. But yeah, there's so many artists that come through here that and there's so many artists that won't come through here.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this on the comedy side. It's another thing of comedy here. We don't support comedy that way.
No,
so like
not
if you
at
look
all.
at stand-up comedians, there's a lot of amazing stand-up comedians around the United States, and they just pass this place up. So I saw Gabriel Iglesias probably 6 or 8 months ago, and he ended up playing at the which was the Brookshires Arena now. It used to be CenturyLink, but he was playing there, but they cut half of it off. It still wasn't sold out.
Wow.
And he was talking. And dude has a sitcom. I mean, he's a fucking multi-millionaire, like amazing comic. But he was talking about 6 or 8 years ago. He came through and played at the Municipal, or did his act at the Municipal, and it literally like 100 people showed up.
Whoa!
And he was like, "I'm so glad y'all figured out who I am, and you came out to this show." But like, still, that should have been busting. It seems sold out. If you get a Garth Brooks concert here, you can't get. It's so crazy. So it's just like, it's not. I just feel like we're in this area. We're culturally like just now getting to be a melting pot. It's just taking a while. You know what I mean?
It feels like it's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there now. It's getting out. But for the longest time, it's just like, dude, we didn't support anything other than just this or this. It
was like only the top 10 stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I saw Cat Williams 4 or 5 years ago at the Strand. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Cat Williams. It was Kevin Hart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. He should have been right before he really blew up. He should have been sold out Century Tale here. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was at the Strand. I'm like, what?
It's odd. It's a different town.
Yeah, and for people who don't know that, that's a really small venue. It's a really intimate venue.
Yeah, the Strand is. Yeah. That's the thing. Like,
have you played there?
No, we did I think that's where we filmed our Red Leather Jacket video. Technically, I haven't actually performed there.
Have you played at Municipal yet?
We played the Municipal.
Okay, how did that feel? How does that feel? I want to I always want to ask an artist how that felt. Like, how does that feel to walk on that stage knowing who's been there?
That was actually.
Or did it even get you? Did it even bother you? Or
it did. No, I thought I was so sick because that was right after I got back from Korea, and that was American Tragedy's like farewell show.
Okay,
and it was at the Municipal. Yeah, so to me, first of all, I was playing the Municipal, and then I had never met the guys from Tragedy. I grew up listening to them in high school, and they were like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody talked about them. And so that part of it and being in that building combined, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The sound is weird. It feels weird up there.
It's very different.
As far as the acoustics and everything.
Yes, distinct. It's weird. It's
I like
you
it.
You have a slight echo. I don't know. It's really weird.
It's kind of like the Shreveport Opry. Have you been to those?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
Yeah.
So it works like it's really acoustic stuff that we do over there.
Yeah.
So you don't even need a monitor, but a full band would just be weird, Yeah.
Well, dude, no, that's crazy though. I don't think I've ever even asked anyone that that's actually played there because when you see artists come through, they appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you go backstage and you look at things, and even if you're just someone who's just attending. And you go and use the facilities and everything, just moving around. You're like, man, this is like not much has changed. It feels like I'm still in 1950 or 60.
That's true. Like they've kept that.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know if they've ever redecorated it or not. No. And a lot of people appreciate it. I know that was the one cool thing about Jack White coming into town because he stopped at one point and was like, y'all need to realize like who's played here and what you have at this venue. And then he kept to the next song. And I was like, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
But we ended up doing that, and we met Goodbye June. They were a band through Layton's venue, and they ended up, our bassist at the time, Jacob, hung out with them all night, and they were like, hey, you got to come to Nashville to record with Paul Moak at the Smokestack on Berry Hill.
Okay.
And so we ended up recording some stuff up there with him. And you go up there, and there's just we're right across the street from Peter Frampton's studio, and nobody gives a rip.
Yeah,
because everybody's so mellow.
Well, yeah, and everyone's chasing something, right? Mm-hmm. It's like they're not basking in the moment. They're too head down.
They're focused.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I've talked to people, like I've had people on the show and talked to people like in Nash, like Wilder Cody was on the show a couple months ago, and he just actually moved to Nashville, and he has a different unique sound. I'm like, well, that's a good area for you, because it's like, I don't even know what to call that. It's a mix between rap and outlaw country, whatever. But but there's so many people there. I was talking about that, and I'd only been in Nashville once. I took my wife there for her birthday. I thought it'd be somewhere cool to go besides just going to Dallas, like everyone does. And there's so many amazing artists there, just playing cover music,
right, in
these bars. And I'm just like, God, I'm listening to this different, distinct sound.
Yeah,
and then these people are like, they'll play an original, and you hear a complete shift in sound, and the band changes, and they go to cover, and it's just like, I'm just like, man, and so like, can you like,
they want to keep playing the originals.
Yeah, just to think, but no one wants to hear the originals because they're all drunk, and like, so what was that? Anyways, sorry, I didn't go to rant, but what's that like? Yeah. What's that like there? Did you play any bars in Nashville while you're cutting records, or what?
Every time we go there, we usually are recording at the Smokestack.
Okay.
So a friend of ours from Keithville, Brennan Hapgood, he started recording like my YouTube video and audio and things like that. So he was like really into producing and recording. So he went with us to the first trip in Nashville at the Smokestack. Fast forward to now, he works there.
Okay.
And so every time we go, we record there with Brendan. And, I don't know if that's going to pick up or not. The car has
someone's breaking in their car outside. Don't worry about it.
But you guys know Daniel Smalley.
Yeah.
So he had me do some co-writing at his studio. I went there a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So we did some co-writes, and then we performed at a bar, and it was like originals that night. But it's people like him are strategic.
What bar was it?
Oh man, like
were you on
412 or something like that?
Okay.
It was a number.
Okay.
I forget what it was, but it wasn't like the hot downtown Nashville. It was where all the musicians go. Nashville,
Well, so the first
that's
night,
the difference.
That's what I was going to talk about. So the first night that we were there, we went. I can't remember the name of the main street in Nashville, whatever the name of it is. I can't think of it right now. But you go down, and
what is it called?
I know I'm drawing a blank right now. You go down there, and it's just like literally, what is it, Josh? Josh, come. Broadway. Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so Broadway. Yeah, you go down Broadway, and there's just like bachelorette, like. Haven everywhere, and everyone's shit faced, and you're like, well, I found this. We were walking by, and everything was like, look, I love country music, and I really respect like any artists that are playing anything right now that can survive in this industry,
right?
Because it's extremely cutthroat, because it's ever changing, because of what we have so much access to stuff, and we change so much of what we want to take in. So like, walking down through there, and I'm just hearing these people play the same hit stuff as we're walking by bars. And I walk by something, and I hear someone playing, I can't remember the name of the song, but it was a rock song. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shit, we're in Nashville, and someone's playing rock music. I feel like an outlaw. Let's go in here. So we duck in this place.
Strange.
And the girl is a lead singer. It was like Monty and the something. I'll have to look her up on Instagram and give her a shout out. But
nice.
We were listening to them play. And then we knew we were going to be there for another night, and we had enough for that already. And we were half lit. We were like, we've had enough of this experience tonight. We know we're going to. She's like, we're going to play at this rock venue down the way, and she announced the name of the venue she was going to play. We looked it up, and I was like, oh shit. We're getting into like the nuts and bolts of like the artists here and stuff. And so the next night we visited the rock venue, and we didn't even touch Broadway or any of the tourist stuff. And I got to feel some real talent, because there's multiple rock bands in there playing and stuff.
Right.
So it was just really interesting, man.
That's the place. Yeah. There's a place down there. And of course, I went there because the second time or last time I was there, Goodbye June performed at this venue, and I can't remember the name of it.
It's maybe the same one I went to, man. But I know there's multiple, but
there's two of the main ones.
Yeah, they're blocks away. Yeah, they're a few blocks away from Broadway and all that.
Yeah. And these are like all originals,
Yep.
And so you find these pockets, and they're packed out. That's the one cool thing about Nashville is rock music, I guess. And as is in Korea and other places that I've been, rock music is not the most popular music.
No.
And that was a cool thing about Korea and Nashville. They're going to have a crowd, though. You know what I mean? Whatever rock bands are playing,
Yeah.
like the original bands that have support are going to be packed.
Yeah.
You know, just might not be as much as the country artists.
Well, do you have any, like, as we sit today, because we're what, like 12 years from then, like, do you have any support? Like, do you have any contact with any of your Korean friends? Do you talk to anybody? Do you get any, like, input from there at all with your current music? Like,
I still get comments on YouTube videos because I've had that channel for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And so I still get, like, I'll upload a video and I may have a Korean fan comment. And then there's one guy, is Janku. He became a fan of me whenever we did the MTV shoot. So he's kept up with me.
Okay.
You know, so we still keep in touch. And every now and again I'll talk to some friends. But I noticed, as far as, like, people keeping up with it, I notice on YouTube I'll get comments in Korean. And people are like, hey, man, I still love your Hanghae song, you know, because my producer, like I said, he was writing the music, you know, and I was singing. They're like, we love your music over there, you know, when are you coming back? So it's still it's there. Spaced out more.
Still there.
I don't get it like I did, you know.
Yeah.
But there's still, I just wonder, because when I was there doing that, they looked at me like I had three heads.
Yeah.
Like, why are you over here? Why do you even speak Korean?
Right.
Whereas now, it's trendy.
Well, so
you know what I mean?
Would you remake that song? Could you remake that in English?
So I did, actually.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I did two versions of each.
Okay, cool.
So,
well, how did that go?
Some people like the English version better, right? Because they're like, man, yeah, we can hear your accent, and it's bothering me. Okay. They're like, so we want to hear the English one.
Okay.
You know, so but the Korean stuff did better on typically.
But you cut it over I'm talking about then you cut it.
Yeah.
But would you recreate it now?
Not for the States.
Okay.
Because the style, it just doesn't fit. You know, and I'll send you some of the music and you'll see it's just that it's not, I don't know, it's not there enough.
Yeah. Well, look, man, we're over an hour now, and we're going to have to do this again.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
But no, dude, I'm so excited to hear this, and I think everybody's going to like it. Is there anything, like, before we close out, any plugs you got, anything you want to give a shout out to, anything like that?
Yeah, let's see. We're playing the balloon rally with Landco the 25th of this month.
Okay.
And speaking of country artists, right?
Where's that going to be at?
That's at the Brookshire, is it the Brookshire Civic Center?
That's going to be so that'll be in Bossier City, Louisiana.
Yeah, in Bossier.
All right.
And then we're playing with a really awesome 90s rock band, and I'm not allowed to tell you who it is. October the 6th at the Revel in Shreveport. So we got that. We're recording a new song that's it's called Right Side. So that'll be released in the next month or two.
Okay.
So I got on your show at the right time, man.
Awesome, dude. Well, look, I had a great time, man. I'm glad to hear your story. I think everyone else will be too. I had no clue about any of this, you know. Like I knew who you guys were, but I didn't know the preface of any of this. So like just to hear all that just puts everything in perspective. And
cool.
I'm excited to see what comes, bro.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Enjoyed it.